Hello, welcome back to Fred in Your Shed. I hope you're all doing well today. In this video, I want to talk a little bit about prepping for natural disasters or any other disasters. And then I want to show you a radio that's been sent in. This is a disaster radio by HRD, and it's probably one of the best ones I've had in. So we'll just have a look at that in a minute. But let's talk about prepping. Now, every time I mention this, and I've mentioned it on just a handful of videos, I mention prepping and people say, oh, Fred, you know, this is never going to happen. We're not living in a zombie apocalypse. You know, I'm not going to rush out and buy a crossbow. I'm not saying that, okay? What I'm talking about is, let's say, natural disasters, such as things like flooding, maybe fire, power failures. Now, this is quite poignant because you would have noticed if you follow the news, last month there was a massive power wipeout in Portugal and Spain, major cities. For no apparent reason, we don't know why, the power grid dropped 60% and then soon become overloaded by demand, and everyone was out of power. And I imagine that was quite scary if you're living in a city and it suddenly goes into darkness. And when your power goes, obviously your mobile phone isn't going to work because your cell towers can't support all of the coverage. And I did mention this on another video and got hammered in the comments where people were saying, Fred, you know, you're out of touch, mate. Cell towers have built-in battery packs. You can see them, those big square things below the antennas. When the power drops out, Fred, they can run for days and days, weeks and weeks. You don't need to worry. Your phone's going to work. Well, let me tell you, right? Let me tell you. Last year, we had a big fire at one of the transformer plants in Hertfordshire in the UK. And then suddenly, about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, lost power. And this was over about 12 miles square. Total power failure. And yeah, you're right. Got onto my phone to check my elderly mother because she lost power. She was 7 miles away. Gave her a text message. She replied back, yeah, we're out of power. Went back to that phone 22 minutes later and the cell tower didn't work. The backup battery depleted in about 20 minutes. And it wasn't just me, because when everyone did get power back, everyone was on Facebook moaning about it. People were saying that at the best they got half an hour of cellular coverage and then it was out. And then you had no coverage, no news. Your TV didn't work because there's no internet. What are you going to do? Well, you're going to panic, aren't you? If you imagine this in a big city like it happened in Spain and Portugal, especially in the world that we're living in, because we're living in a pretty unstable time at the moment. So all this stuff going on around the world. I mean, really, guys, you don't know if it could be an attack, a cyber attack possibly, or even something worse. So you don't know what's going on when your power goes out. So you need to be a little bit prepared. And I'm not talking, as I say, about going out and buying an air weapon or a crossbow. And I'm not talking about stacking loads of tins of beans in your garage. Just make sure that you are prepared in the respect of having a flashlight or torch. I say flashlight, people get the ump. This is one that I reviewed recently. I took this on holiday when I went down to Norfolk. Incredibly bright. I was using this walking through the woods. This is made by Wuben. And I even drove over this on my car to test it. My car's pretty heavy, it's about 1,600 kilos, and other than a little scratch, it works fine. So get yourself a decent torch, either a rechargeable or one that has replaceable batteries. Make sure that it is charged. Another thing I'm going to say, if you live perhaps in an area like a floodplain or something, and you're likely to be cut off when it floods, think about getting yourself a public radio, what we call PMR in the UK. Something maybe like this, standard. This is a waterproof PMR radio with a decent flashlight in the bottom as well. So you can communicate to people outside, like emergency services, and you can listen to what's going on. Personally, I would go a little bit further and I would get a dark side radio because you have more transmit power, which means you have higher range. This radio, for example, also has, I believe, it's got a FM radio as well. And some of these other dark side radios I've been testing recently have AM and even shortwave, although you don't really need shortwave. But this has an FM radio. and also this one doesn't have a flashlight. And when we talk about flashlights or torches, I know I get people in the comments, Fred, you don't need a flashlight, you just use your phone. If you've got no power to recharge your phone, you're using the flashlight, it's going to wear out. And when the power does come back on, you're probably going to want to text people or make phone calls to check on relatives and other things. So you don't want to really deplete your flashlight or torch on your phone. So that's two things. And then it comes down to radio. Now, I've always said you should have a battery-powered AM, FM radio at home. A lot of people nowadays just don't have portable radios. It's just something that it's become quite obsolete. Everyone relies on the TV, internet. And yeah, people have said in the comments, Fred, well, I don't need one of those, mate. I've got a radio in my car. I can just sit out in my car, can't I? I don't need a radio indoors. Yeah, that's great. But if the power, say your power's out for 2 or 3 days, do you really want to keep going out to your car every hour to try and get an update on the news, especially like throughout the night? It's much easier just having a radio by the side of your bed. So that brings us on to this radio. This is a disaster radio and an emergency radio. It's got quite a lot of built-in features that will help you in the event of a power failure or some natural disaster. Now on this video, I did have a complaint from a couple of people, and it might be a fair comment. They're like, Fred, oh, you keep looking away from the camera. We find it quite discouraging. It's quite insulting. Why do you keep looking away? I'm not looking away from you guys, okay? It's just that I've got notes written down here. I'm just old, all right? I'm getting old now. I can't remember all of the details. I get stuff wrong anyway, you know that. So if I look down here, I'm not ignoring you. I'm just trying to, give the old grey matter a bit of a poke. But anyway, let's have a closer look at this radio. Comes in at about £30. So not that expensive. If you're going to get a radio, I would say get an emergency radio. I've done a review on a few of these. This one is the best one so far, and I'll tell you why in a moment. Let's get it on the bench and have a look at it. So this radio is made by a company called HRD in China. This is the 905S model. As I say, sent in from Banggood. Cost, UK price, is about £30 with my discount. A couple of pounds post and packaging. As always on Banggood, if you spend over £40, you get your post and packaging free. Now, straight out of the box, one of the features that I really like about this is the battery capacity, because this is also a power bank. Has a very, very large 10,000 mAh 3.7 lithium-ion battery built in. And the charging output via a standard USB socket is 800 milliamps. That's pretty high. So you should be able to charge up your mobile phone quite quickly and quite a few times with this battery. Now, when it comes down to the radio, it doesn't give a runtime, but on 10,000 mAh, it's going to run for weeks and weeks on the radio. It does have a built-in Bluetooth speaker you can use with your mobile phone. Also, via a little SD card or TF card, if you like, in the side there, you can play music from MP3 tracks if you really want to. When it comes down to the radio, standard FM broadcast band 87.5 to 108 FM, medium wave 520 to 1710, that's in 9 or 10 kilohertz steps, shortwave 2.3 to 23 megahertz, and then it has the North American WX weather channels 162.4 to 162.55. So everything there is covered. Does have some other features which I think is very useful for an emergency radio. Has 2 different lights or flashlights, if you like. First one is quite a useful reading light. I think this would be very useful in a power cut. I think it's dimmable as well. I don't know how that's coming out. So it's full power, dimmable. Again, I haven't got the runtime on that light, but it's going to be tens of hours with a 10,000 mAh battery. So that's quite useful. Little reading light there. Also has a torch or flashlight. Again, 2 different power settings, maximum. It's not bad actually. I think it's quite bright. I don't know how it's coming out. It's certainly usable. It's certainly usable. I think you should also have a secondary torch yourself. But again, it's going to have a big runtime being at this LED. It does have an emergency alarm, which I guess I should test, shouldn't I, really? So if you're on headphones, might be an idea to pull them away from your ears. I think we just hold that down. There it goes. Yeah, right, enough of that. It's a bit like a police siren, isn't it? I mean, I suppose in a real emergency, you could get someone's attention. We'll have a listen to the radio in a minute. So, looking around the unit itself, it is hard plastic. It does seem quite robust. I would have liked to have seen some rubber protection on it in case you did happen to drop it. Basic controls here is your 2 reading light and your flashlight and your SOS siren. USB-C for charging the battery. It's going to take a little while to charge this because it's 10,000 mAh, so I've had it on for about, I think, 3 hours, and it's only moved the battery indicator 1 bar, so you have got to allow a lot of time to charge it. TF card socket there for the MP3, headphone socket for the radio and MP3, and then the output there for charging your phone. Doesn't mention, I didn't see instructions that if you could play MP3 from USB. You normally can on these. And it has a rubber protective shield. It's not IP rated, I don't think, as far as I'm aware. Now, on the back of the radio, this is quite interesting. We do have a crank handle. Yeah, and these are all the same on these radios. It's very, very flimsy. But it's smooth, to be fair. And if I turn that, we should... There we go. Can we see that? See that? I don't know if you can see it. That light's flashing there, indicating that we are putting power. We are putting power into the battery. I would probably recommend that for absolute emergency situations because that does feel incredibly weak and flimsy. But what is good, and again, this sets it aside from other emergency radios, as well as the built-in lithium-ion battery. In case you've let that deplete, you can add 3 simple AAA batteries. So that's really, really good to have that additional option in a backup. And then finally, we've got a solar cell on top of the radio itself. It is hinged. So in theory, if you just, for example, maybe put this by a window, that would keep the battery topped up, and then you'd always have the battery ready for you in an emergency. Simple telescopic whip antenna. You're only really going to be using this on the AM and FM, I would have thought. I mean, this will help on the shortwave band, maybe for your entertainment if you were sort of stuck indoors. But yeah, overall, I think for the money, with that very large battery and the solar cell and the built-in torch, I think for the price, I think it's a very good featured radio. It's certainly heavy and chunky. As far as what you get in the box, not really much, to be perfectly honest. Very, very basic instructions, get you started, but it is very easy to use. A thin little shoulder strap, which probably is quite useful because that's quite heavy, and then a simple USB-C for the charging. One interesting thing is we've just come outside here, and I'm currently under like a canopy, so I'm in the shade. But hopefully you can see that, even in the shade, it's already charging that lithium-ion battery. We're not even in bright sunshine. That's quite impressive. Right, let's have a listen to the radio speaker. When it comes down to your tuning, you either can manually tune via the up and down buttons there, or you can hold these down, and then the radio goes into a seek mode. Pretty basic, but that's really all you're going to need in a radio like this. Let's turn it up and see what that speaker sounds like.
Fan. How about Sugar Babes? P.S. Leave Richie alone. It was a work trip. We've got the school run up next for you.
London.
Can't be
cutting it out a bit. Before I let you go in a minute we're going to talk about delivery and how governments can deliver. As a postman, what's your top tips for successful delivery?
Cheers, guys. John Norman there, cricket editor, and yeah, you can keep across all of our coverage on the TalkSport YouTube cricket channel as well.
When it comes down to tuning shortwave, it's not the best. It's a bit frustrating because you've only got the up and down buttons here, and obviously you get quite a bit of interference sometimes on shortwave. So the auto search just basically stops, and then you have to hold the button down to tune. There's no way to directly enter the bands either. I don't think there is. No, just go straight to the weather band.
Merhabalar, TRT Türkiye'nin Sesi Radyosu Toprağın Sözü programına hoş geldiniz.
环球华人头条关注。
着力稳就业、稳企业、稳市场、稳预期，以高质量发展的最。
În data de 26 august 1988 a debutat la clubul sportiv școlar.
Oh, that is a really astonishingly large figure.
I was just going to say, statistics can be very misleading.
I thought I'd found a band switch for a moment. There's a second function on the volume, but it just switches into a memory mode. Looks like we got 60 odd memories. So overall, the shortwave performance is predictably a little bit poor. It only tunes down to 5 kHz, and even on some of the stronger stations I was still getting AM cross mode, because I am very close to a very powerful AM transmitting station, so that's always a good test. So yeah, not the best performer on shortwave. Picks up some of the larger stations with the standard antenna, so I suppose in theory you would be able to get some international news if it was a very, very bad situation. Anyway, let's take it up into the shack and do my final conclusions. I'm going to end this video slightly differently because I've turned off the overhead lights and I'm now running on torch power, or flashlight power if you like, just to show you what it would be like up here in a power cut. I do stand by what I said at the beginning of the video, and I do think that everyone should have a battery powered AM and FM radio somewhere in the house with decent batteries, so if you do get a prolonged power cut you are able just to check on the news to find out what the hell's going on, because you are gonna wonder that. If you haven't got a radio and you're thinking of buying one, well, you might as well go a little bit extra on the purchase price and get yourself one of these, because it's got that 10,000 mAh power bank battery, which is quite rare really, and that will charge multiple mobile phones many times before that's depleted. Because it's going to be sod's law, isn't it? You're going to get a power cut just at a time when your mobile phone is going to be low on battery, when you haven't charged it all day. So with something like this in your cupboard on standby, yeah, you can charge your phone. And the radio's pretty good as well. Very, very clear speaker. And of course you've got your flashlight and you've got your little reading light on top as well. So yeah, it's pretty good actually for the money. I would certainly recommend it. It's the best one that I've tested that's come into the shack, an emergency disaster radio. Now this came in from Banggood. Like I say, it's around about £30 with my discount. I think it's £34 full price, plus a couple of quid postage if you don't spend over £40. I will link this in the description if you want to go away and check it out yourself. Make sure to use my code if you do think about purchasing the radio. And that's really about it. I'd like to say thank you for watching the video. I hope it's been entertaining. And as always, please, 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 look after each other for me, stay safe, and of course, I'll catch you all on the next video. Cheers, guys.
Fred's in the shed where the magic unfolds. Fred in the shed with his trusty CB. He's a friend to the lonely on a frequency.